Morning, YouTube. It is I again, and I'm back on this Halloween day with a few more things I've done lately, and some of them of the Halloween theme too, with monsters and scary stuff. But anyways, let's get right at it. The first thing I did is I finished the sixth and final book in the Land of Stories series, which is written by one of the actors on Glee, Chris Colfer, which I thought was kind of cool. The artistic types always seem to be cross genre able, sort of thing. So I always find it interesting when actors write stuff or writers act, or make music or whatever. It's always interesting to see, you know, what they're able to do otherwise from their main passion, anyways. But the story behind this one is that it starts off with Connor Bailey as an old man. He's like in his 80s, and he's at this event where he's a Q&A event with his fans, and one of the young fans has researched his family history, which he hasn't been very forthcoming about apparently, and mentions his twin sister Alex, and he's like, Alex, where is Alex? He has no idea where his sister is. So he cuts the Q&A short, heads home, and opens up his books, the series that he wrote that kind of chronicled his and Alex's adventures in the fairy tale world, in order to try and figure out where she is and what happened. And that's when the real story starts, this Worlds Collide story. And as it starts off, Connor and Bree and his mom and his stepdad and his literary army that he pulled out of his own stories are still holed up at the abandoned hospital, and they still don't know where Alex is. Soon enough, though, a news report out of New York City shows this young girl dressed all in white terrorizing the New York Public Library, and the two lion statues that flank the entrance of the library have come alive and are defending her. And so they see this report and they go, that's where Alex is. So soon enough, Connor, Bree, Goldilocks, Jack, and Red are all on a flight to New York City to try and go get Alex and bring her back. But they soon realize she is under the spell of Morena the Witch, who is behind the whole scheme here. And what she's planning on doing is bringing through her other witch friends to the other world, as well as the Sea Witch, or the Sea Hag, and the Snow Witch, and not to mention Captain Hook, the Queen of Hearts, and the Wicked Witch of the West, and all of their minions, in order to plan this invasion of the other world, or Earth as we know it. So Connor and his friends get trapped by Morena, but get rescued by the unlikeliest of allies, who are the book huggers, who have always had it out for Connor and Alex in their mysterious ways. And upon being released, they send the book huggers to contact Connor's mom and tell her that they need backup, and they'll know what she means, or what he means. And so then the scene shifts. Alex and all of the witches and stuff hole up in Central Park, and she puts up this giant force field around the park so nobody can get in. The US Army can't do anything about it. So Connor and his friends find a way into the park by going under the park and using a uncompleted subway system, branch of the subway system, to get into the park. And from there on, it's just this kind of battle between, the literary army of Captain Hook and the Wicked Witch of the West, and the Queen of Hearts and all their minions, as well as all the witches, against Connor and his friends, and then all of the backup that they had at the hospital with Robin Hood and all the Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table, and all of Connor's own literary creations, just comes in this epic battle in Central Park. And we don't know, with that many players involved, we don't know who will win, but of course it's going to be the good guys, right? Yeah, so that was a good conclusion to the story. I like how the book really preaches. It's good for young people to read because it preaches, never stop believing in the magic of the world, and never lose your imagination, and make sure to love and appreciate not only others but also yourself, and just own yourself, be yourself, and not worry about what others think and stuff, which I think is great messages, especially nowadays when everything's so ridiculously crazy. The next thing I did was watch Vampires Los Muertos. This is a John Carpenter flick, and it's a follow-up to his original Vampires movie, which I actually still haven't seen. So I kind of went into this one a little bit blind. But the story picks up when this vampire hunter, Derek Bliss, we see him kill a vampire and film its death, and then report back to this organization he's working for called the Van Helsing Group with evidence of this death. So then they then get in touch with him, with his next job, which is to head down to Mexico and get in touch with a bunch of other hunters that he's supposed to be working with on this next job. The problem is, as he goes to meet these people, they all seem to end up dead just before he can get there. Eventually, he finds this monastery full of peaceful men who were former vampire hunters, and he holes up there for the night. But during dinner, he has this vision, and the men there tell him that there's a vampire in the area who's trying to form a mental link with him. So then the next day he sets out to find more of these contacts, and along the way stops at this little diner and has a weird conversation with a young lady at the bar, or at the counter, which leads him to investigate a bit and figure out that she's actually a vampire. While he's in the bathroom getting prepared to dispatch her, a vampire princess named Una enters the establishment and offs everybody except this girl because she's a vampire, and leaves before he can come out of the bathroom. And when he gets out, it's just blood and guts everywhere. Everybody's dead. So he leaves and eventually tracks down the young woman at the counter, who he captures, sort of, and she tells him her story, that she was bitten during sex and never completed kind of the transformation, and now is on drugs that suppress her urges and keep her from the vampire lifestyle, which she doesn't want any part of. So she kind of comes on as his unofficial sidekick, I guess. And but soon afterwards, she has a vision about a monastery being massacred, and he believes that it's the one he just came from. So they return there, and sure enough, Una has been there and killed all but one of the men that live there, and Father Rodrigo. And so they all decide that, you know what, this Una needs to be stopped, and they know exactly what she's after. She's trying to perform a ritual that will allow vampires to become invulnerable and even walk in the broad daylight and not burn up. So along with Father Rodrigo and this girl whose name is Zoe, Derek Bliss recruits another vampire hunter named Ray, who comes in from Memphis, as well as a young man named Sancho, who he had a previous experience with on a prior hunt. So the five of them have to go up against Una and all of her vampire minions and prevent her from completing this ritual, and of course kill her. Yeah, and who will win? We don't know. That movie was a Dollarama purchase for $2 or $3 or whatever, and this too was also a Dollarama purchase. It's called Bad Milo, and I read the back of it and I couldn't resist. It's the story is about this guy named Duncan who has a lot of stress in his life. His mom is pressuring him to get his wife pregnant, and his wife wants him to go see a therapist about his anxiety. At work, he's been shifted to HR so that he can fire a bunch of people, and his office has been moved to an old bathroom, and he's got to share it with this kind of nerdy guy who's really annoying, and everything in his life is just causing him to freak out. And all the stress and anxiety, the side effect it has on him is that he spends a lot of time in the bathroom. So he gets it all checked out, and they just say, you know what, you got to take it easy, and we'll get you a colonoscopy in the meantime, but you got to take it easy, you got to relax, you got to breathe. You can't let the stress get to you. But the stress does get to him, and after a phone call from his new office mate that he deleted this big presentation he'd been working on for a year, he has an experience in the bathroom that results in something coming out of his ass that is alive. It's a little guy named Milo, and he goes and kills his coworker, the guy that deleted the presentation, in a brutal, grisly scene, and then comes back and re-enters Duncan, and yeah, so then after he had no idea what happened because he passed out. But then as things continued to get weirder and weirder, he does go and see a therapist, and who hypnotizes him. And during this process, this therapist witnesses Milo escape from Duncan's ass, and he researches it. And there's this ancient mythology about a demon that comes out of people's ass, and so they come up with a strategy for Duncan to bond with it and try and chill it out and prevent it from doing any more damage. But as time goes on and Duncan's life gets more and more stressed out, Milo just keeps on appearing and killing more and more people, and it all ends in kind of a cataclysmic scene at his mother's party where many other people get introduced to Milo, and then they have to put the issue to bed once and for all. So yeah, it was an interesting movie. It was really funny, and the wife of Duncan in the movie is actually the girl that plays the wife of who. It's in Hot Tub Time Machine too, when the guys go to the future, and it's Adam's son. Yeah, Adam Jr., I guess, or whatever. His wife, who does strut, the Weber strut, who is adorable too. So that was a nice little connection there, that she was in there, because I really like her. Yeah, that was it. So I'm sure I'm going to watch another scary movie tonight, maybe after all the kids have come by and trick-or-treat, and as well as some other stuff. But I will be back in the near future with more to report. Have a great day.